You need to rub your members together until they get sticky.
Okay, I've been working like 3 jobs. Probably why I never see ya. Probably why I never have time for the fake friends that won't be ya. Oh God, I've been running now.
Let's talk about something along these lines, and this isn't really to do with business, but I grew up fairly religious. I'm not anymore. I don't believe in organized religion anymore. But religion's on the decline. People going to church, I've seen the research, it's just not what people do anymore. Even the most religious people that I know don't go anymore either. Do you think they're associating with brands more, or where are they finding that belonging?
That's a really good question. I mean, and actually when I was writing the book, I wrote about exactly that, which is, I could see this 20 years ago, is that, I mean, facetiously, I wrote at the start of one of the chapters, which is that people don't pray for meaning anymore, they pay for it in the form of brand.
Yeah.
So, brands that have meaning, which many of them now do. So, yes, I think that's true, that people are looking for a sense of belonging and a sense of meaning in other places than just religion nowadays. But what's interesting, though, is we are hardwired to belong as a species. We wouldn't have survived if we hadn't formed tribes. And in fact, even now, there's data that's shown in the medical sphere that if you are part of a strong social network, not meaning a social network, but with family and friends, you are 40 to 50% more likely to survive a heart attack than if you're not the member. So literally your survival depends on how well connected and how much you feel like you belong. Still true now as it was back in Stone Age when, that moment when a man or a woman with a sharp stick faced a saber-toothed tiger and thought, oh shit, I need my tribe. That was when human evolution lurched forward. So it's still true now. So there's this fantastic book that caused a huge stir a couple of decades ago, written by Bob Putnam, the best sociologist probably out there at the moment, called Bowling Alone. Very famous book. I read it. Bowling Alone. Very, very. Basically, he had documented all the decline of all the kind of traditional belonging structures in America, like the bowling club. Yeah. Membership of the bowling club, membership of the Lions, membership of the Elks, membership of religion was all in decline. And he was basically, yes. But the truth is that people don't stop belonging. They just find other places that are more suited to their life. And because what's happened over the past 50 years is our life, especially in North America, has become more complicated. We're more mobile. We move more, we travel more. And so belonging to the Elks doesn't make sense because that's geographically anchored in one place and dependent on people living in that same town for all of their lives. No one does that anymore. So now they're joining other kinds of groups like meetup groups or whatever to still get the feeling of belonging which everyone craves, and meaning, which that group can also create, but in more versatile, mobile ways.
Yes. It's huge, and that's why I've set out, and this isn't a plug for my company, but Communo is built on that exact premise, mixing what you just said and then what you talked about Steve Jobs. People want to go out on their own now. Marketplaces are popping up everywhere. They want to have control of their life. They realize the big corporate job with the Rolex watch after 20 years is not real anymore. But they still want that sense of belonging, so they join marketplaces like Airbnb or Communo. And at the same time, they want individuality, they want belonging. And the tenets of that are still being built, I believe. I don't think we have it figured out at Communo, for sure we don't. And our Airbnb has been at it a while. They're still building it. But let's talk about how that belonging's built. And it's probably built through purpose and that sense of alignment with that purpose. Yeah, and purpose is talked about lots, and often it's not authentic. Maybe you could give some people tips. You were going to say 2 things that are watching this right now. How can they build that purpose into their movement, their event, their brand, whatever?
Well, actually, people often ask me, what does it take to build a really strong cult, like following around anything? And I say, well, there's like 12 things, you should read the book. And but there are two that are most important. The first is you need to have a purpose, and I can talk about how you get a purpose in a minute. The second thing, though, is you need to create interaction between the members of your community. The best way, yes, exactly. The way I express it is a little vulgar, perhaps, if you've got that kind of dirty mind, but you never forget it, which is that you need to rub your members together until they get sticky. Meaning that, and I learned this from my work on cults and religions, where there was data that showed, there's two amazing studies, one about the Divine Light Mission, which is a cult in the 70s, another about the Mormons, which shows that the more people interact with each other within that group, the stronger they believed and the stronger they felt they were committed to that. And I saw that also when I was interviewing people in cults, but I really saw that and measured it when I was at Meetup. You know, meetup.com was a very early social network where you get online to meet people who share your passions and interests, whether it's guitar playing or brands or whatever it is. And you go to face-to-face events. And we found that people felt most committed to their Meetup group once they'd been to 4 events or more. And when you dug down into why, it was because it took 4 events, showing up 4 times, to build the relationships with the other people. So that you were going there not just because you wanted to practice your guitar or Spanish, or because you know, whatever it is, you love movies or whatever. It's because you also want to see Ryan again, and you want to see Joe and Martha and all these other people again, these new friends you've just made. And we quantified it and showed that the top 3 reasons people were loyal to their Meetup group were things like, I felt like I was at home. In other words, I belonged. I made new friends. I felt like I was around people like me, basically.
Yes.
So there's 2 things. That's the rubbing people together to make them sticky. The other thing is purpose. So the purpose of those Meetup groups were things like become a better Spanish speaker, or a better belly dancer, or a better vampire. I mean, there were Meetup groups of vampires who thought they were vampires, by the way. They weren't like pretending, they were actually vampires.
I am a vampire. I do consume human blood. There is a real live community that exists not only within the States, but also throughout the world.
So we found, like there were common things that made the best Meetup groups. And they were lots of interaction, rubbing together to make yourself more sticky, but also had a really clear purpose. As a species, we don't communicate by this. This is very recent. In fact, language is very recent. The most intense ways we communicate is through body language, voice, facial expressions, smell, all these other things. And you only get that when you meet face to face. So
those watching, we're going to wrap up. Thank you, Douglas, for joining. For those that want to see him again, he'll be joining us at the gathering in 2020 in Banff at the Castle, and he'll be doing an Inner Sanctum and some other things like that. And for those that got to see him last year, you'll get to see him again and hopefully reacquaint and feel that belonging. Douglas is very good at remembering people. So we'll see you at the gathering, and Douglas will see you there. And then join us next week for episode 2 of season 2.